Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about spending more money on video games for once. And what a day for Donkey Kongs. It's going to be a good one because we have Jan Ochoa on the show. Jan, how are you doing?
I am doing perfectly okay. A solid 3, Grubb. A little worried about next week, a little bit jittery, but before we get the show on the road, I want everyone to give Mr. Jeff Grubb here a round of applause for all the hard work he's doing for getting this SGF couch together.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to make it happen. We're going to have a good time. Friday and Saturday, not this Friday and Saturday, the following one, everybody. So be ready for it. 6 p.m. Eastern, or I'm sorry, 6 p.m. Pacific. That'd be 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll get started. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. A lot of fun friends will be on there. We'll have some cool people who are announcing video games or had recently announced video games to talk to them about it. Oh, I can't wait, Jan. I'm legit getting excited.
Shenanigans abound. I am praying to all of the production gods, but I have been blessed by the presence of Turbo Sean and Will Crosby.
We're going to have more help than ever. Absolutely. It's I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about any of this. Jan, I'm busy also playing video games right now.
Oh yeah, that too.
James Bond has been excellent, continues to be really good. I know you played some of it. Is that still your primary game right now?
Yes, I think you and I last time the group was talking about it, we're around the same area.
Yes.
Just got to another place. The game is already gorgeous and beautiful. Got to a new, I guess, level or chapter, and the game continues to visually amaze me. For folks that want to check out what the early game looks like, Mikey did a launch look yesterday. I think Mikey really enjoyed his time with it.
Good. I kind of touched in here and there, but I wasn't sure to get his temperature on it. You think so? You think he really liked it?
I think so. God, the that chess tournament level, that first proper mission you go on, banger of a mission. And also IOI just does such a great job with dense environments. They get better at it every time, and this is the best one yet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That club level really is extreme. It is gorgeous and feels alive, and then they just kind of keep doing that, and then they always use it to a good effect. It's not just there for splash, it's there because they want to do something very specific, and they know what they're doing. Yep. So I've been enjoying that game quite a bit. Been playing a little bit more Yoshi as well. I like it. It definitely does feel like, man, this is really close to kind of getting this series to close to something special. It's not quite there yet. It does feel like it's missing something, but what is there in terms of the experimentation stuff, I've still been enjoying. Just wish it had that one extra thing to put it over the top there for me. But enjoying video games right now, Jan. It does feel like every week another one comes out where I'm like, this is clearly better than anything else that came out this year, and that just keeps happening, which is wild. Very good year for video games. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. That's Jan, I, and the rest of the crew, and we are independent games media. If you want to support independent games media, which is kind of the only games media left for the most part, you go to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member, and that is going to ensure we can keep doing things our way, the way that you like it, the way we like it, and it really does go a long way to ensuring that is possible. We're very thankful to everyone who has supported us. If you can't financially, we get it. Support us by telling a friend about it, show up in the community, be a part of it, keep it vibrant. That is huge for us as well. If you do join, though, it's going to get you ad-free versions of our shows, premium exclusive shows. Right now, it's going to get you early access to Bully a week early, which is our latest endurance run, which has been a lot of fun. I'm glad people are enjoying it. If you haven't started, now's a perfect time to start because even if you watch 2 episodes a day, you're going to be able to kind of catch up right as the last episode is dropping. And they're half an hour each at most.
Yeah.
So perfect for a lunchtime. Everyone keeps telling me that. I'm like, oh yeah, sounds like a really nice time. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the biggest price increase yet hits consumers as Valve jacks the price of the Steam Deck. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Valve has announced a price increase for Steam Deck OLED due to rising memory and storage costs, as well as both the 512 gigabyte and 1 terabyte models are back in stock for the first time in a very long time. So that is like one part of this, Jan, is these things had not been available in the United States for months, basically. It was like, oh man, people just aren't going to be able to get these. Well, now you can again, but at a much increased price. The 512 gigabyte model was $549, kind of a very reasonable price, is now $789. Ooh. The 1 terabyte OLED model was previously $649. It is now $949. Basically $950 after taxes, $1,000 basically. That is massive in terms of the percentage of a price increase. It's like 46% basically. That is a bigger one-time price increase than we've seen from any of the other companies. Now, Xbox and PlayStation have raised their price multiple times. Yeah. But yeah, I think this speaks just volumes about what we should be expecting about prices going forward for new hardware, because the Steam Deck came out in February of 2022. It is now 2026. This thing is, in terms of technology, kind of ancient. And there are several competing devices that are much more powerful that are kind of in this price range, if maybe just a touch more. But this is the price that they think they need to sell this thing at to make it make sense. And that is, I think it's bad news across the board. We'll talk about the Steam Machine and Steam Frame here in a second. But just in terms of buying kind of older hardware, we've seen this happen over and over now. It's not going anywhere, right?
No, and this really stinks, Grubb, just because this hobby, which is supposed to be fun and relatively easy-ish to get into, or made for everyone,
accessible at least, yeah,
accessible for everyone, especially when it comes to an older piece of technology. And we've talked about this with the PS5, with the Xbox, and now the Steam Deck is entering the conversation that this is, like you mentioned, an old piece of tech. It can still get the job done, of course, but they are charging prices like it is a new item on the market. When people have been able to get this for significantly cheaper in the past, this is also going to drive up the cost of people reselling the Steam Deck as well, I imagine, just because people will want it. And it's unfortunately going to drive people away. Also, it's going to confuse the consumer because, like you mentioned, there are so many different devices out there that are similar to the Steam Deck that may suit someone's lifestyle a little bit better. They might like the workflow of the user interface of the Asus Roger Xbox or whatever they're calling it, or maybe the Lenovo Legion Go even.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like those prices have probably gone up that I just haven't noticed, and if they haven't, I bet they go up soon. The story here is the same one we've been talking about for months, Jan. Memory prices and storage prices are the biggest current culprit. Those are both up in terms of costs in a major way due to the competition for getting those components from AI companies and database infrastructure, as that stuff just gets purchased up at massive volumes and really kind of drawing the attention away from the kind of memory and storage that consoles use towards much more higher capacity storage and higher capacity and faster memory that the AI databases use. And that they're paying a premium for that stuff. So these companies that make the memory, that make the storage, are just less interested in spending the time serving whatever demand is here for these consoles. And then, that's the biggest culprit, Jam. But all the other stuff we've been talking about before that even happened, the memory surge, which is kind of like a year old now at this point, that stuff is not off the table. Inflation is currently still a big problem and seems like it's going to get worse here again very soon. But even if it wasn't, there's been about 20%, about 18% inflation at the consumer price index since February 2022 when the Steam Deck came out. So that's just normal inflation. Well, the normal sort of inflation, being boosted up in a kind of a hyperinflation way, where normally you would expect after that amount of time 5%, 6% inflation. So that's triple, quadruple, sort of the normal amount that people would be expecting. So that already eats into the cost or the profit margins for a lot of these companies. And that's the kind of thing where maybe they could roll with that punch if they weren't also dealing with years of tariff madness.
Yeah.
Just uncertainty caused by tariffs and whether or not those are on and whether they're illegal. And he's going to try other tariffs. The uncertainty is still there, causing all these companies to have to be like, well, we could still have to pay these huge taxes to just release these things in the United States. So we kind of have to build that into our price. And then on top of that, oil prices. Oil prices are just going up and up. And every time it seems like there might be a little bit of we might be seeing the end of the tunnel here, the bombing starts happening again and oil prices surge back up. And that is going to be something that does even when that day comes when the war is over or is paused for a long period of time. We're still going to probably have to be dealing with high oil prices for a very long time, a matter of years. Mm-hmm. And that is, obviously just shipping things around the world, but all that stuff goes into plastics as well. And all these things are made out of plastics. So just there's cost pressures everywhere. And I think that when I see this, it's like, this is the Steam Deck. Came out in February 2022. It is now almost $1,000 for the top end model. What are the chances that the Xbox Project Helix and the PlayStation 6 can come in under $1,000 for kind of a base model? It seems like that is shrinking and shrinking if these things are coming out in the next 2 years.
100% Grubb. When people out there are having to struggle to fill up a tank of gas or put food on the table for their families versus playing something for entertainment, I'm going to assume that a lot of people are going to err on the side of filling up the tank of gas so they can go to work.
The decision becomes easy, right? When it's like $1,000 for this thing, it's like, that's not even in my budget anymore, so I won't even consider it.
Yeah, there are so many people that will hold on to their phone for years, well past it even being functional anymore. And it's just like it becomes like a hardwired phone with how it has to be plugged in all the time to avoid paying $1,000+ for a new phone. And I can't imagine people will be willing to pony up not only for $1,000+ potentially for a new console, but also $80, $90 for a new game. And especially where how the general consumer may be feeling burned that their initial investment in the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox hasn't necessarily been returned with what they were expecting from this console generation.
Yeah, it's I think going to be really rough here as we kind of get through the summer and all these games do get announced and Grand Theft Auto 6 is still coming. So these companies are going to feel a little bit emboldened because the numbers do look pretty good for the moment. We'll talk about the Japanese sales charts for the Switch 2, which were surged by the upcoming price increase, which I think is now taken effect. But these companies see it's like, we know there's still demand out there. Like we see it when we talk about like raising the prices, people surge out there to go buy it at the previous price, which everyone already agreed was extremely high for all of this hardware across the board, north of $500 at least at the base. Mm-hmm. And yet everyone's like, as soon as it's like, oh God, I really did want to get in and play these games. And I'll pay that old price. Sure. Let's go. So these companies know the demand is out there and they are trying to walk the fine line of, can we get away with continue to move things up? Because the demand through Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be so high. Now, of course, that doesn't matter for the Steam Deck, not right now, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is not coming to PC until next year. And when it does, very unlikely, I think, that it's going to be like perform in a decent way on Steam Deck. But they know that the demand is there across the board for PC gaming because that just keeps growing worldwide. But I think part of that was it seemed like such an affordable option to get into this hobby. Mm-hmm. And now that's, evaporating before our very eyes. Affordable computing, affordable personal computing, owning your stuff is just going away. And the companies that made that possible all feel like they are like, well, we don't care. We will just make our money in AI instead. And then yeah, look, we're going to give you an option. You can like find ways to rent hardware from us. You can go get a subscription to one of these services and rent your computer in the cloud, and you don't get to own anything, but you can still get to access all this stuff. And everyone's looking around like, that is just not what I thought this hobby was going to be. That does kind of shift us to, okay, so $1,000 basically for the high-end Steam Deck, the highest-end Steam Deck. The base price has gone up a lot to like, north of $500, $600.
Yeah.
They have to launch a Steam Machine and Steam Frame at some point. They opened this year by saying that's going to be happening soon.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's like, it feels like, no, they've actually just had to figure out the mess that the Steam Deck is in, let alone just like launching new hardware. The Steam Machine, I do think will still come out. That price is going to be more than $1,000, right? I think we were kind of already feeling that way. Now it's like, oh, this could be $1,200, $1,300 for the Steam Machine. What do you think, Jan?
100%, Grubb. With the Steam Frame and Steam Machine, as soon as this news dropped yesterday, any hope of either of those pieces of tech being under $1,000 kind of went out the window. Initially, when Dan and I checked it out and the growing conversations the months following, the general assumption was you would max out maybe $600 to $800. Steam Frame, because it's a VR headset, I just kind of have that predisposed notion that it's just going to be a little bit more expensive than I would anticipate. Also, with the Steam Machine, I thought like, oh, that'd be a fun device to have just because have that around the house to play Steam games on the TV or bring that over to someone's house. Now, I don't think I can justify having purchasing a Steam Machine for funsies at all.
Yep, no way. And there was a time when Valve was like saying, hey, the Steam Frame, the VR headset that runs basically, I think is that the one that's running Android? I think that does run a version of Android. They were, hey, we're going to make this standalone VR headset that then you can wirelessly attach to your computer to get the best version of VR and maybe stream some games in there and play with a controller. This is our follow-up to the Steam Index VR kit. And that was $1,000, and we want this to be less than $1,000, so it looks better than the Steam Index. And it just feels like, at best, that thing matches the price of the Steam Index. And probably what happens is, yeah, at best, it matches the price of the Steam Index, but it doesn't include some stuff. Like, it's a very, very, like, base model, and they're like, provide your own controller or something like that. And it's, okay, yeah. And really, at a certain point, it's like, man, do they just launch the Steam Machine and hold off the Steam Frame until that makes more sense so they can get that price down? Because the demand for VR is a lot less than the demand for Steam machines. So I think there might be like, hey, to sort of make this thing make sense for the amount of demand that is out there, we might have to wait until we can launch it at a lower price. So I know it, like the original plan was launch all these things at once. That included the Steam controller. Well, now we got the Steam controller early, and all these other things are still uncertain. No release date, no price. And it really just doesn't feel like, oh, we'll get through the summer here. They'll announce it, and maybe these things launch in the fall. At this point, who knows? It's like they could just continually, indefinitely pushing these things off until things make more sense, and that might be a very long time.
Yeah, Grubb. Also, with technology advancing and components advancing, we're going to reach a point where the initial specs and internal guts of the Steam Machine will become dated. I feel like that's going to quickly approach us. And then at this point, who is going to buy or want to buy the Steam Machine if you were not already in the Steam ecosystem? If you didn't get a Steam Deck because you're not into like the portable aspect of it, who is going to get the Steam Machine if it winds up costing $1,000+ if you already have a fancy schmancy PC or even like a middle of the run PC at this point? I think a lot of people will kind of just err on the side of, if they see the price of the Steam Deck and like maybe however much the Steam Machine is going to be, I feel like a lot of people will wind up just going, if they want to get into PC games, getting maybe a gaming laptop because they can do other things on that right off the bat.
Yeah, I think like the conversation becomes a lot more challenging for the Steam machine the price gets to a certain point where it's like I can get a really good laptop that can also play games and probably play it pretty equivalent to the Steam machine, because the Steam machine is powerful relative to the Steam Deck. It's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. It is not some like top of the line PC rig. It will not compete with that. The idea was to make things simple, and really I thought the idea was something that I've been begging for a little bit, which is let's kind of put an anchor on performance expectations and be like, hey, developers on PC, obviously you have all of these different configurations you could be making your game for. You've already been like supporting the Steam Deck, and like, let's see if we can get it running on the Steam Deck. Here's another option that is maybe a little bit more powerful, but it can also be like a baseline of just make sure it runs on the Steam machine, and then everything else will be like, oh, it should be good on just about anyone else's active PC. And then they could support the Steam machine for years and years, because we do not need constant inflation of expectations that people need to be upgrading their systems constantly. I think that's been one of the positives of the Steam Deck, and the Steam machine could have multiplied that factor. Now it's just like, okay, can we even get this thing out the door? Is this thing even going to be viable? And right now it just doesn't seem that way, because there is going to be a challenging conversation about the performance of this thing on day one, let alone years from now or years after it launches. That's going to be a tough sell for a lot of people, and that's a shame, because it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Do you see a world where they potentially just 86 the Steam frame just because of it being so cost prohibitive? Like the Steam machine, given everything, I feel like Valve would want to push that just because they could get in homes or like take over the home console market, or make carve out their own niche there. But the Steam frame, given how VR support and how adopting VR is kind of tanked, I could kind of see them just not getting rid of it, but like pausing it indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a world. I don't think they will do that, but I could see a world where they do that, and then they shift the work they've done with the Steam frame over to like a Steam Deck Lite, which is maybe a middle-of-the-road Android phone that is repurposed to run Steam, which is something that really is the end goal of what's happening with the Steam frame, which is, hey, we're going to be able to get Proton running on Android, which is something that is an ongoing project in the community. And now when Valve kind of steps up, is like, hey, we are throwing our weight behind that. The expectation is that is going to smooth all those things out, and Android phones will become basically Steam machines of their own. I could see Valve being like, okay, let's drop the VR stuff. That is a barrier that we don't want to deal with anymore, and instead focus on a smaller, more affordable handheld that people can actually put in their pocket. But we'll see if we get to that point. I do not know. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, there's plenty of other headlines to get into, including what's going on with Donkey Kong. We'll get into all of that after these messages. If you want to skip out on these, giantbomb.com/join. Premium members can get ad-free versions of this show. We'll be right back. All right, it's Game Mess Mornings. That's Jan Ochoa. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's get back into it with Donkey Kong 64 is finally coming to Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. The ritual is complete. Mike Minotti has sacrificed himself for the good of the greater community, and Donkey Kong 64 is going to be playable on your Switch via NSO, everybody. If you were a fan of Donkey Kong 64, you'll be pleased to hear it's finally back to kick some tail next week. Nintendo has today announced the $19.99 title developed by Rare will be added to the Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack service on the 4th of June, 2026. I do think this means he's got to start over.
Yeah, we have to go back, Grubb. And by we, I mean him.
Him, yes, exactly. And I want to say, I'll speak on his behalf. He promises to do it. I'm joking, everybody. I'm joking. I know once a joke happens like that, it never gets dropped. So let's nip it in the bud right now.
Yeah.
He's never playing that game again. I don't think that's true either. Here's what I think there's a compromise, Jan.
Yes.
I believe that Donkey Kong 64 has a multiplayer mode.
Oh.
And NSO makes it very easy to do that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's time we all get in there and play some multiplayer DK64 for a little bit on a UPF at some point.
Oh God, I hear the rap in my head and it's slowly fading up and getting very loud.
It's getting louder, which is a good thing. That's what you want. Then you don't have to hear the rest of society and what's happening. That's much better. Drowning out with the DK rap. Hey, okay, cool. This game's all right. It was so disappointing at the time. I've kind of carried that with me ever since. Watching Mike play, it's like, okay, he's right that it's better than its reputation, but God, if you haven't played Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, or this game, this is such a distant third. It's not even funny. Okay, Nintendo's new mobile game, Pictonico, is out. It's basically Face Raiders cross WarioWare. Nintendo's new free-to-start, which we used to just call shareware, mobile game Pictonico, is now available on iOS and Android. It was co-developed by Intelligent Systems and turns mobile photos into micro games. Nintendo Life says Volume 1 costs $8 for 50 games, and Volume 2 costs $6 for 30 games, with a demo available first. It uses your photos and / faces in mini games. I've been playing this, Jan. It's pretty cool how it works. It's not like, oh, go take a picture of your loved one right now and we'll use that. It is like, hey, can we have access to your photos folder so we can see all these pictures? And that's like, okay, yet another company asking to see my data. But whatever, I've given up all my rights so far. Why not do it once more? And so I did it. I did select a specific folder that I'm like, this is like a safe one that I'm okay kind of sharing. And it was pretty smart. It took pictures of my family, and then some stuff I had downloaded. So it used kind of random faces from some of these magazine ads, and it does a really good job of sort of seeing the face, capturing it, cropping it, and just quickly throwing it into a game. And the games are very if you like WarioWare, I think you'll kind of like this as well. There is a structure here of you can play through levels, and the levels are here's 10 mini games. If you do them perfectly without failing, you get a bonus, and the bonus is in-game currency that you can use to unlock some other stuff. And then it kind of set up like a mobile game where it's all right, you did that node, now go to the next node and do the same thing, but now here's 10 new mini games. And if you give us a second, we'll look at those photos again, and we'll use some photos you haven't seen before, so things feel fresh. And then it doesn't just use faces. Sometimes it'll be like, hey, here's a matching game. And if you have just a random picture of a scenic vista, it'll throw those in there as well a little bit. I enjoyed myself. I don't think this is going to be some massive hit. I really don't think people like the idea of paying a premium price for content. But the demo is substantial enough. It'll give you the idea. And I think it's good for a quick, hey, let's have fun for a half an hour and show this to our friends and maybe never touch it again. Any interest from you in Pictonico?
Not necessarily, Grubb. This is going to be one of those Jimmy Jams where I will fondly look at you playing the game and be like, oh, that's really neat. But Grubb, my greater question is, what's Nintendo doing? What are they up to? Because, I know that the Pokemon company is separate from Nintendo, but there is some association there. They're trying to get They're trying to get data on how we brush our teeth, how we sleep. Yeah. And then they're trying to wake us up. And then you have revealed to everyone that the Nintendo Alarmo has similar technology to the...
It could see your wiener.
Exactly. The body scanners at TSA. Now they want our photos of our families. What are they doing? What's going on?
I do wonder what's going on. Mark Cerny just straight up asked, he's like, send me pictures of your ears. And everyone's like, that's weird. And Nintendo's like, we also would like pictures of your ears and body parts, but we're not going to ask for it. We'll put a fun game in front of it, and you'll just willingly give us this stuff. So obviously, they all have the same end goal. What that end goal is, I'm not sure. Maybe it's some sort of Frankensteinian monster they're going to build out of all of us. And kind of, frankly, I welcome it. It's time. Go build a monstrosity that destroys civilization.
No.
Nintendo needs to happen.
What they're going to do is they're going to make Guijis of everyone.
Okay. I would like to meet my Grubbiji, my Groobiji.
Yeah. Grooby?
My Groovy. Gross. Hey, so I'm going to figure out how to capture this. And we will probably play this on UPF tomorrow, everybody.
Lovely.
In fact, you know what? hit me on Blue Sky with images, like especially images related to Giant Bomb that I can throw into a folder, and we'll use that folder for the actual stream. So anything fun and dumb that you want to like have me maybe include, just tag me on Blue Sky, and I'll get that folder going. Don't send me pictures of your feet. Wink. All right, let's keep going here. Marathon is going free to play, but not for long. This is from I said Baron Bonthus, and that's not right. It's Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. With a new season starting soon, Bungie is offering Marathon at its best price yet next week, free. For the low price of nothing, anyone interested in checking out the extraction shooter on PC, PS5, or Xbox Series X and S can grab a free trial for the game starting June 2nd and running through June 9th, with progress carrying over if they decide to drop $40 on it. PS5 players won't need a PS Plus subscription to go online either. With Marathon sales reportedly not being as great as Bungie hoped for and player numbers being modest at best, this might be the best chance for the developer to reintroduce people to the game. The June 2nd date also coincides with the start of Marathon's second season, which will add the new Night Marsh Zone, a new Sentinel Runner shell, and more deadly hardware. The important thing to note is that a new season also means that players' inventories are wiped, leveling the playing field. This means that you won't have to worry about running into fellow runners equipped with top-tier loot at the start of the season. So we've seen these free-to-play weekends, free-to-play weeks really work before, Jan. I do want to ask you, have you ever done one? Because I have not.
Gosh, there must have been a free-to-play weekend that I perused. I can't for the life of me remember, but
you know what I do? Maybe this is another part of this. There is like two sides of it. There is the side of it's free now, so I can go try it.
Yeah.
Then there's the side of I already own it, and there's going to be a bunch of noobs in there. I should go play this weekend and just clean up and have a real good time. So it kind of reignites excitement from that community alongside the launch of a new season. Mm-hmm. That does actually work. I could see why this is such an effective strategy. Obviously, Marathon needs all the help it can get. Like I will continue to say it's not some disaster, but it costs X, and Bungie's costs are Y, and Y is bigger than X by a great deal. And so they need to close that gap. And their best hope after just announcing they're done with Destiny is to get Marathon to grow over time. And stuff like this can help. I think that like Marathon could potentially like follow the trajectory of something like Warframe, Jan, where it's like just keep delivering on the stuff, show people why it's so much fun, keep that core community happy, give them something to get excited about. And then every time maybe you launch a new season, more players come in. That was the Warframe trajectory. Every time they had new content, it just grew and grew and grew and grew and hasn't stopped. I think Marathon could do that. I think it just comes down to, does Bungie have the slack to work with, and does PlayStation and Sony have the patience to let that sort of play out?
The very last thing you mentioned there, Grubb, I don't know if Sony has the patience to let it all play out. I do hope that this is a big boon for Marathon and Bungie to reintroduce a bunch of players. Grubb, because I pay for stuff like YouTube Premium, and I have ad blockers on various aspects of my home internet. I don't really come across too many ads. I'm curious for the folks at home. Do you see advertisements for Marathon? Like how is this game marketed? Has it been marketed well? Because it has such a fantastic style to it that I feel like it is so eye-catching that it would intrigue me to, if I saw an ad for this and I saw that it was having a free-to-play weekend, you see something like Bungie attached to it, that I would at least be intrigued. So I think this is also, unfortunately, on Sony if they are dropping the ball on the marketing aspect of it as well.
Yeah, the date for this kind of tells us where they are going to talk about it, and that's the state of play, which is earlier that day or kind of that evening. And it's like, to your point, Jan, is that audience already saturated with Marathon? Are the people who would be into Marathon from the audience that would watch a state of play already playing it or have already tried it, and now you need to find new audiences? Probably to a certain extent, but probably not enough that they won't. This is probably the right first step. Go into that state of play, show off the new season, remind people that the people who like this game are loving it still and are always looking to play more of it. And here's your opportunity to try it for free again. A lot of people did try it in that free to play, test in the week leading up to release.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, they're probably looking at the numbers, being like, hey, we could probably convert a lot of those people still. So yeah, I hope that this game figures it out. I hope Bungie figures it out. It does feel like Marathon was about as good as they could have done for something that wasn't Destiny 3, and in terms of delivering something that is fun to play. Now it's just a matter of, can they convince people to come into this extraction shooter and actually spend a good amount of time in it and playing it? And we just don't know yet. It's going to be kind of an uphill battle.
Yeah.
All right. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 teasing has begun. And really, it's not even teasing anymore since we went live. They've basically confirmed it. But this is from Stephen Tailby at Push Square. It looks as though the 2026 Call of Duty will be subtitled Modern Warfare 4. While there also have been some fake leaks doing the rounds online, the very reliable Bill Coon posted the following, which all but confirms what's next for the popular shooter series, and it is kind of like smudged up what is obviously Modern Warfare 4 logo with some soldiers running around, and I tell you what, those look like some Call of Duty soldiers. It's presumed that the game will be officially announced during Xbox's upcoming showcase on June 7th. Well, that's not what happened. Here at really at the top of the show, a trailer went up, a reveal trailer for Modern Warfare 4. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds. This just began, and they have a tagline here of "No line holds forever." It looks like maybe some stuff takes place in Southeast Asia, maybe. I don't know many of the details, but yeah, they'll begin here. They will probably talk about this thing at the Xbox showcase. Also, there will be big advertisements during the NBA Finals, which are coming up soon around this same time. And then they have kind of a run up to release, which is October. Let's see here. I think there was a date for it. Yes, October 23rd, which gives them about a month before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. So yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 is not something that's going to get me too excited anymore, Jan. I have played collectively between games titled Modern Warfare somewhere around in the region of 3,500, 4,000 hours. Like, no joke. I played a lot of Modern Warfare back in the day, and some of the other games, but like 2,000 hours in Call of Duty Modern Warfare back in the original game when it launched in 2007 or whatever that was. I'm pretty tapped out. I just am not interested anymore. I spent my time in those games. And maybe I would be excited if it was something brand new, but the pull of Modern Warfare is not there for me anymore.
Grubb, it's already hard for me to get excited about any Call of Duty, especially after, was it last year's that had the abysmal campaign that you couldn't pause?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is correct.
I have to assume, and I wonder that if the core Call of Duty audience out there, are you really getting excited for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 again?
Yeah.
What's happening? What's going on? What are we doing?
Chad, is this one confirmed to be on Switch 2? It's also coming day and date to Switch 2. Thank you, kevbot.org. Okay, so yeah, that's the first time that's happened in a very long time for a Nintendo system. Maybe it's never been day and date. I can't remember. I know that some of the Call of Duties have been on Wii and Wii U or whatever. This is something they promised a while ago under previous leadership, but they promised it to governments, so it was always going to happen. This is also, I think, the first Call of Duty that won't be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Since those launched. But now, it's the Switch 2 is getting supported, although Switch 2 definitely more powerful than those systems in some key ways. I'm curious to see that. You know what? I would like to just see that for myself. And maybe that's enough of a novelty to be like, I'll pick it up on Switch 2 and play there. And then I'll have mouse controls if I really want it, because I can just break out the Joy-Con and do that, which is, kind of weird. But yeah, Call of Duty does feel like it is it's at a fork in the road, where last year's was like the returns were diminishing. It was less exciting, and that showed up in the stat lines. It showed up on the bottom line for Activision, for Microsoft, in terms of making money from that series. That has happened before with Call of Duty. And they have almost always found ways to come back and be like, hey, no, people still love Call of Duty. We just got to get it right. And we got it right this time. And people have rewarded us by buying more Call of Duties than ever before. We are growing again. I do wonder, like, if Modern Warfare 4 is sort of like a perfect example of what fans want, does it just immediately bounce back? I think it probably does, even in the face of Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out a month later, Jan. But I don't know. What do you think?
Grubb, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on the thought that Call of Duty is trying to capitalize off of how hot Korean culture is by setting part of the game in South Korea.
Like, we definitely get multiple K-pop skins in this game, right? Like, without a doubt.
Yes, 100%. Grubb, I already didn't really care about Call of Duty, but I guess I like the thought of it hitting the Switch too. I'm curious how the core Call of Duty audience is going to feel about this. I was scrolling through comments on this trailer trying to get a vibe of how people are feeling, and they're already making poor racist jokes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yep, without a doubt. That's Call of Duty. That's just that community. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this is. God, is Price back? Of course it is. It's Modern Warfare, so they're just gonna keep doing those characters again. Man, I know some people in that community do care about those characters, but I'm always surprised when I find that
okay,
out.
Grubb, the top 2 comments I'm seeing is Ghost and Price fighting? No.
Yeah.
And then the second one is, I hope we get to kill Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, that's a very popular sentiment here. Yep. And then some people pointing out, like, they are already advertising cosmetics in this reveal trailer, and it's like, yeah, that's the Call of Duty business. Just that's what they do now. So that's not too surprising. All right, last couple of stories here. Rayman Legends remake reportedly leaks as Rayman Legends Retold. Insider Gaming reports that a Rayman Legends remake called Rayman Legends Retold has leaked online with a logo circulating on social media. The outlet says the project is real and also known as Project Steambot. They previously reported on this remake, but now this feels like the biggest confirmation yet, although it's not official confirmation. Looks like the game is currently scheduled for October 1st, and we should probably see this confirmed officially next week, right? Summer Game Fest, Rayman Legends Retold shows up at one of those showcases, if not multiple. I'm somewhat excited for this, mostly, Jan, just because, like, I do want Rayman to be a going concern. I hope this leads to a world where it's like we get new Rayman games. Specifically, I think it's time for a 3D platformer again. I think they should be like, hey, let's do a real big Rayman game. But it's Ubisoft. Who knows if they have the sort of guts to do that anymore? I really don't know.
I had to, like, Google which Rayman this was, Grubb. I also kind of don't think this specific Rayman game needs a remake because it still looks
good
pretty.
Point.
But if this brings it back in front of newer audiences and at least gets Rayman back into the conversation and away from the Rabbids, then sure, okay, let's do it. When I was reading the headline, or when you were reading the headline about Rayman Legends remake reportedly leaking, I thought we were still playing Grubb Guesser from this week of Rayman taking a leak.
Yes, he's leaking. Exactly. They should make a joke like that, because that is a famous ad now, as obvious or as evident by Mike and Dan immediately screaming Rayman repeatedly as soon as they saw that image. So, yeah, bring that back and make a joke about the game leaking. That would be fun. All right, and then Japanese charts are out for the last week. Switch 2 sneaks in some huge numbers ahead of the price increase. This is from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. Famitsu's latest Japanese hardware chart has Switch 2 selling 247,880 units for the week of May 18th through the 24th, up from around 218,000 units the prior week. Nintendo Life points out that this is buyers rushing out to get the thing before the price goes up. And that led to 250,000 Switch 2 selling in 1 week. I guess a strong reminder, Jan, that what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, people are feeling the pain of price increases. Like, that is real, and it's kind of the top of mind when we talk about this hobby. And yet there is just this huge demand still for all of this stuff, including the Switch 2. And that only seems like the demand is growing as more games come out that get people excited. And they probably will be able to like withstand some of these price increases still because of that. But not everyone's going to be on board. So while people are rushing out, there are going to be people who are left behind. And when the price increase goes into effect, which again I think it already has in Japan, yes, the price hike went through on May 25th. At a certain point, people are going to be like, "No thanks," and I'm just going to turn my attention elsewhere. But these companies might not notice that in the immediate term. That's going to be a long-term problem. And I think they're all thinking, we'll deal with that later because right now we just got to like deal with the reality of it costs us a lot of money to put these things out, and we need to make that money back. Anything to read out of these numbers out of Japan for the Switch 2?
It's such a tightrope to walk, Grubb, because especially in Asian markets, free-to-play mobile games are gigantic competition for, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. It's cool to see that the Switch 2 had like that little surge of sales. I don't know. I mean, a lot of that is because of the panic buying, but I don't know how much after the price increase goes into effect, how they'll be able to sustain any growth. I feel like it's going to slow down dramatically. And I'm thinking about like what would hit with the Switch 2 this year, a little bit of next year. I mean, Pokemon is coming next year. We've been talking about this Ocarina of Time remake. I just don't know what would be huge with the Japanese audience outside of like first party stuff. Actually, Grubb, do you think with the Steam Deck price going up to for a lot of people to a price that is unattainable at this point, with the Switch 2 still hovering around sub $700 as of right now, do you think a lot of people might think about or seriously consider getting the Switch 2 because they'll get stuff like, a Call of Duty? You're getting the new Resident Evil, Pragmata. I guess 007 First Light is eventually going to come out on the Switch 2.
September, I think, is the date that it has now. Yeah, September.
But you're also getting first-party Nintendo games. Do you think that will become a motivating factor for people to maybe, if they were thinking about the Steam Deck, to pick up the Switch 2 instead?
Yeah, I do. I think so. Yeah, it's not going to be one-to-one. Obviously, they're very different libraries in a lot of ways, and I think at the end of the day, you pay more for a Steam Deck, but then the pricing model on PC games is so much more aggressive that you can save money on the back end, and a lot of people who are very sensitive to that stuff are still very aware of that. But I do think so. I think that a lot of people will look around at the price of everything else compared to a Switch 2. The Switch 2, very expensive, but everything else is actually much more expensive. Yeah. Although I think in Japan specifically, the Switch 2 Japanese model is now actually more expensive than a PS5 Japanese model. And both of those are like locked down to Japanese regions in various ways. So yeah, it's not simple. It's not clean cut, but I do think a lot of people will see the price going up for everything. And that headline of basically $1,000 for the top end Steam Deck and go, okay, almost half the price for a Switch 2. I'm just going to go get that instead. But it will help Nintendo if they can keep following that up with games, and if they have this Nintendo Direct, around June 9th-ish, we'll see what happens coming out of that, and see what the excitement level is. Because already Picopia has done a lot of work for them, and now they kind of just have to hit that with a 1-2 punch and follow that up with a big holiday game. And if it's Ocarina of Time, I bet they do kind of see a continued windfall for a while.
I feel like, Grubb, they have to have had the conversation at this point about what a new Animal Crossing would look like. I know that we're in a different world where a lot of people were stuck indoors because of the pandemic and wanted some cozy game. But with the success of Picopia, Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, having a decent amount of success and traction on social media, I would have to assume that they're thinking hard about what a new Animal Crossing would be. It's not going to hit hard right out the gate as the last one did, but it would definitely be a contender for moving Switch 2s.
Speaking of Tomodachi Life, that is over 1.2 million physical copies only in Japan now. Another 65,000 copies sold in the last week. Of course, that is on Switch 1 and Switch 2. We do know about 40% of copies are selling for the Switch 2, for people playing on the Switch 2. Yoshi was new on the chart, and it only did 40,000 copies. So it sold less than the older Tomodachi Life. Now, again, Tomodachi Life on Switch 1, that does make a difference, but I think it just speaks to there is an audience that plays the kind of game that Tomodachi Life is, and it's huge and kind of a little underserved, especially by bigger companies like Nintendo. So when they come through with something that is a can't miss, it does not miss, and it kind of just is, just racing to this 1.2 million in a matter of weeks. Picopia at 1 million copies sold physically in Japan. Again, that's Switch 2 only. That I think that is the main story there of the discrepancy. I bet if that thing was on Switch 1 as well, it would be much, much higher at this point. All right, that does it for the charts. That does it for the headlines. Let's go ahead and get to the poll question from yesterday. Let's see here. I'm going to refresh. Did you ever play Destruction All-Stars? Yes or no? 84% said no. 16% said yes. That's, that sounds about right, because that is a game that, probably only got to that 16% jam because it was a launch game or a very early PlayStation 5 game. And people were willing to give it a try in a time when it's like, oh, yeah, sure. And if it had come out a few years later, it would have been much more dead on arrival. And really, this game kind of was. As a reminder, that game's shutting down. You're not going to be able to play it, or many of its modes here, I think, right away. And then there's some other modes that will shut down in a few weeks. And then there's just going to be an arcade mode that continues to work one way or another. Although apparently, reportedly, the game's been broken for years. All right, we have a new poll question we'll get to here in a second. In fact, I got to come up with that. But before we do that, Jan, let's talk about what's happening on Giant Bomb. Thank you.
Later today, we have voicemail dump truck popping off, rolling around your neighborhood. And later today, for the premium people out there and YouTube members, we have the finale of Marry Me Tomodachi, the internet's hottest gaming dating show. We will see who ultimately comes out on top. Even though Jeff Bakalar has the lead on points, I'm not going to, love is love out there, but love can also transact into points. Who knows what could happen in the next couple of hours with the game. Tomorrow, another episode of Game Mess Mornings and Unprofessional Fridays. We got a bunch of stuff popping off all around the website as well. There's a Mina the Hollower review out for folks curious. Mikey did a launch look of 007 First Light. There's also a review for Forza Horizon 6 that Grubb did. A bunch of stuff popping off. Also, the Bully Endurance Run, like Grubb mentioned, if you're a premium member, YouTube member out there, you get all those episodes a week early. And next week, everybody, we will be headed to Los Angeles for Summer Game Fest. We'll be doing the State of Play on June 2nd. That's a Tuesday next week, I believe. But yeah, Friday and Saturday of next week, Grubb has the couch lined up, ready to go, ready for shenanigans. And boy, howdy, did we have a meeting yesterday planning out shenanigans.
Yeah, I had to go to Home Depot, everybody. So, just get ready for it. Oy.
I'm going to have so many white hairs after next week.
It's a tradition at this point. We're looking forward to it. We have a new poll question for you, though. Do you have the $50 expansion pack tier of Nintendo Switch Online? Your options are DK Voice, oh yeah, or no. Those are your two options. We'll get the results, talk about it on tomorrow's show here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of tomorrow's show, we'll wrap up the week with the Bomb 12. So go submit your game right now. It's kind of a last chance opportunity. Go to giantbomb.com. Scroll down, see the Bomb 12 on the right, see the Vote Here button on the left, click that button, takes you to the Google form, submit your game that you want considered for the Bomb 12. I'll get that all finalized tonight/tomorrow morning, and we'll wrap up the week with that, and wrap up the month with it as well.
Jesus.
Yeah. May's done. We're getting out of here pretty soon this month, and it's time to move on. What a month of May it was, and Jan, what a show it was. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's the only way to start a Thursday, Grubb.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.